some some of the private English schools that are around the city. The main one was called GOL, Global Outsourcing Language and Logistics. And then during the time that I was in Colombia, I went to Spain to do my master's degree in applied linguistics at the University of Vigo. And when I came back, I became a professor at Los Andes de Cátedra. And so I was a professor at Los Andes for 5 years, from 2016 until 2022, or the end of 2021, I should say. And then it was at that time that I moved to the United States to take this opportunity at the University of Utah. So most of my life, really since 2005, I've been working outside of the US in different places. My undergraduate degree was at Texas Christian University. So I'm originally from Texas. That's a school in Fort Worth. And I actually studied advertising and public relations. So I was not really destined to be a teacher when I first started out. But when I was at TCU, I had to, as part of my degree plan, do a study abroad session in another country. And it was part of that study abroad session that I really found teaching. I was in Mexico. I started at the University of Guadalajara, and then I was at the University of the Americas in Puebla. And while I was there, I got into this sort of work teaching program. So I was teaching English to some students, and they were actually teaching me Spanish at the same time. And I just like found that I really enjoyed it. And this was, before the internet was really like a useful thing. And so I remember I like printed up some 8 by 11 copies of an advertisement and posted them in some different cafes. And like I was just doing like private lessons in different like internet cafes and things like that for extra money. And then after I graduated, I went back to the US and graduated. And then I started living in Mexico for a while, and I was just doing some private teaching there. And after that, I went to Guatemala. So I was there in Guatemala a year. I taught there for a little bit, in El Salvador for 6 months,
Oh my
at
God.
a yeah, it was very interesting. It was at a call center. So I was actually teaching call center employees. So it was kind of like an ESP class, like an English for specific purposes that we were designing for them. And then 2 years in Nicaragua. So I was in this place called Saman do Sur, which is it's close to the border of Costa Rica. And after that was my biggest change. I moved from there to South Korea. So I taught for 2 years in Seoul, South Korea. And that was a huge change. The difference between working at a school that was like an NGO, not for profit, where we were like struggling to get supplies and books, to moving to a school in Korea that was like a very expensive private school with all of the technology you could imagine, was a really big change. But it was a really huge learning experience for me, just in terms of how different cultures learn English, especially because in the past I only worked in Spanish speaking environments. So that was really like my first time to get a better perspective of like how English teaching is around the world and some of the different techniques
That's
and perspectives that I'm using now. And so yeah, from there I was in Colombia, like I said, for 10 years, and then um, moved to here in Salt Lake City, just at the end of the pandemic. So starting in 2022.
that really calls my attention because sometimes when we ask people to come to one of these talks or when we tell them about how important it is to learn English, sometimes they feel it like the person that is coming doesn't really know what's happening here or doesn't really know what the reality of the country is or the region. But you have had experience of being abroad. I mean, like in Korea with all those many resources, being in Colombia, being in Guatemala, in Salvador, Mexico. I mean, like in all those many countries that they have different realities, but as a region, we share the experience of the importance of learning English. It's basically we have been talking about this for a while, and is that it used to be very instrumental, like you learn English, you speak English, so you get a job. But now we know that is much more than that. Now we know that it's about education and culture and multiculturalism and translanguaging and about all those many things that are happening and the opportunities in education that people from the region have. So it is great to have you, and it is great that you really get to know what the reality of our country is. that you're so close to Colombia, because being 10 years here makes you a Bogotano, you know. And so we are very, very happy to have you with us. And we know that what you are going to tell us today is super important for our community.
Well, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. So like really my talk today is about here what we're doing in Salt Lake City and the opportunities that maybe teachers can have to come here and make their English more proficient, but also possibly get some valuable work experience that I think could help them become better professors and bring this back to their classrooms in Colombia and maybe, like I did in Korea, learn some new techniques in teaching and community building that maybe could help the students in Colombia in their journeys as well. Um, so I don't know if everyone's aware, but my university just recently started looking heavily into South America as a place to recruit new students. We are the University of Utah is in Salt Lake City. It's the major state university of the state, so it's 35,000 students. It's huge. And what we do at the English Language Institute is bring students to the university that are looking to join for the master's program or the undergraduate program and study things in the sciences or any degree program, actually. And there are certain students that need a little bit more help in their English language learning journey. And so we actually will help students to level up their English so that they're able to study other careers. But also, we have people that will come and visit us for a short time just to level up maybe one CEFR level and then go back to their home countries and go back to their jobs. Can I share my screen with you guys really quick?
Yes, please.
All right.
We have something very special for the members of our community. Remember to visit our social media, because in there you're going to find like many surprises and some of the agreements that we have and that Brian is going to tell us about today. So, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, so for those of you that haven't done any investigation about our school, we are the English Language Institute. We have been an institution since 1990, and we're part of the University of Utah, which is in the city of Salt Lake, and it's the capital of the state of Utah. Um, you can see some of our students here outside of our building. Um, One of the reasons why I've been in South America recently is because we really want to bring in more students from the continent because as it is right now, we have over 50 countries represented in our student body, but a lot of our students come from Asia at the moment. So our largest cohorts come from Japan and China. But we also have significant student populations from Korea as well. And one of the things that we found in our research is that actually they, in their feedback to us, have noted that some of their favorite students come from South America. And so they're like, we would love to see more students from that region. And because I worked so long in Colombia, I was designated as the representative to go to Colombia to try and look for more students. And so this is what I want to talk to you guys about is like who we are and what are the benefits of maybe studying for a short time at the English Language Institute. So as you guys can see here is the map of the US. If you didn't know where Utah is, we're located in the west of the United States. Sometimes people call it the Mountain West because we have a lot of mountains. The Rocky Mountains pass right through us. And you can see our state is highlighted in red. And that star right there is where Salt Lake City, the capital, is located. So we're in northern Utah. It is bordered by Nevada. So you can see there to the left, you could drive to Las Vegas in about 6 hours. And if you keep going another 3 hours, you'll get to Los Angeles. So you can see California over there on the West Coast. And so we're located centrally in the Mountain West. I think it's such a beautiful place to live. Um, People have some ideas, I think, about what like Utah looks like as a state or what Salt Lake is like as a city. Um, and they almost always tend to be wrong. Um, so this is a shot of Salt Lake. It is beautiful. It's a lot like Bogota in a lot of ways in terms of the mountains. So we're surrounded on all sides by the mountains. Now these are called the Wasatch Mountains. It's not the Andes, so they're not as tall. But we get a lot of snow, which is really beautiful. You can see that most of the year they're covered in snow. And this is probably about springtime in the city. One of the cool things about Salt Lake is it gets four seasons. So you definitely get to see all of those changes that you wouldn't be used to if you're coming from Colombia. My wife is from Bogota, and it was her first time seeing all the seasons, snow, the fall, etc., and she really loves it. You can see the downtown is not huge. The city itself has 1 million people, but it feels a lot smaller than that. A lot of times people say that Salt Lake is a little big city. Sometimes also people call it small lake city because it feels like such a small town. One of the things you can see down in the very, very bottom of that picture in the middle is the front runner train. And we'll talk a little bit more about the awesome public transportation system that we have in the city. But you can see that's one of the trains that we use. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the city itself is stunningly beautiful. This is the campus. So the University of Utah is the biggest institution in the state. We have 35,000 students. And our campus feels kind of like its own city. So you can see a couple of different pictures of what the campus looks like here. For example, in the top left-hand corner, you can see an aerial picture of the football stadium with some of the buildings behind that. If you look in that picture over a little bit to the right, you'll see a dome. That's our the Huntsman Basketball Center and Volleyball Center. And then just across that big street is where our school building is located. And you can see we're kind of surrounded on mountains all sides of the campus. And in those mountains, there's hiking trails. You can go cross country skiing in the wintertime. It's really, really cool to have such great and quick access to nature. You can see lots of people like to hang out in the common areas between classes. And so it's a really great opportunity for students that are coming from a country like Colombia to kind of get that United States university experience, right? You can go to a football game, you can go to a basketball game. There's fraternities and sororities, right? And so it has a lot of those cool features that take place outside of class that people really enjoy. Down in the bottom right hand corner, you can see one picture of campus with snow. That's what it looks like right now. We've gotten not as much snow as we usually get, but we do have snow on the ground right now. And so that's a thing that you guys will be able to experience, possibly depending on if you come at the right time of year. Speaking of snow, for some students, this is one of the main reasons why they come. For other students, it's a new hobby or a new passion that they get to discover while they're here. But you can see this map here of the Utah resorts. Down in the bottom or in the middle right side, you can see the map of Salt Lake. So where that sign that says 215 is located, that's about where the campus of the university is located, right close to the east side where the mountains are. And here you can see Park City is probably our most famous resort. That's where we have the Sundance Film Festival every year. It's America's most famous film festival. So all of the famous celebrities are here. And actually, they just premiered a documentary by Francia Marquez this year at Sundance, which was really cool. My wife and I went to that. But Park City, it's a small town outside of Salt Lake that has a lot of resorts and awesome things to do, both in the wintertime for skiing, but also in the summertime for hiking and mountain biking and things like that. But apart from Park City, there's also Brighton Resort and Solitude, Snowbird, Alta, Sundance, Deer Valley, Powder Mountain, Nordic Valley, Snow Basin. These are all within 30 minutes to 45 minutes of school. which is great because students sometimes after class go skiing together, or like I said, in the winter, I mean, in the spring or in the summer, you also have people going hiking and mountain biking. So everything is really easy to access, which is really nice. Um, I'm not a huge skier. I snowboard a little bit, but the thing that I have really found that has been my favorite part of moving to Utah is the access to the national parks. So Utah, more than any other state in the United States, has the most national parks, and also, in my opinion, the best ones. So you can see we're in northern Utah. So if you look up here in this Utah map, you can see Salt Lake City kind of up in the top. And in southern Utah is the desert. So you have like the top half of the state that kind of looks like Switzerland or maybe Colorado, right? It's like very green and alpine. And then in the southern half of the state, it looks like the desert, right? Very red rocks. And so you have Zion National Park, Bryce Canyon National Park, Capitol Reef National Park, which is probably my favorite. A lot of people don't know about that one, but the other one that's very, very famous is Arches National Park, and Canyonlands, which is connected to the Grand Canyon. It goes down south towards Arizona. So for example, Arches, Bryce, Zions, those are about 4 hours drive from Salt Lake. So it's one of the things that students really like to do in their free time is like get outside and go see America and take some road trips and see some of these places, because they are so close and easy to access. So in just a moment, I want to share with you guys a short video about what our campus kind of looks like and who some of our students are. So I want to just stop this share for just a second. And I just wanted to ask anybody before we move on, does anybody have any questions about anything?
Remember that we can just open our microphone and talk, or you can ask any question in the chat if you happen to have any question. So nothing so far in the chat.
Great. All right. Well, if you do, let me know in the chat. And like I said, I want to share this video with you really quick, and then we'll talk a little bit about it when we finish. Are you guys getting the audio?
No, I think you need to stop sharing and share again with the audio.
Yeah, I think it's been so long since I've run a Zoom class that I forgot how to do it.
It happens all the time.
I
Like, oh,
needed
share sound.
I needed to check this and share sound. Jeez. Okay.
Now we can hear.
So that's just like, a little bit more sort of a visual representation of what life on campus is like and maybe some of our students and who they are. Going back to kind of like what it's like when you come here, one of the things that's really great about the university is the access to transportation. So I mentioned before, we have a really great system in Salt Lake for transportation. It's called the UTA Tracks. And as a student, you, with your student card, get free access to that. So, like one of the things about, coming to the United States to study that can be really difficult is not having a car. If you've traveled in the US before, it's really difficult in some cities to like just live if you don't have a car. We don't have the same kind of public transportation as other places do. But Salt Lake does have a great transportation system, and our students rely on it and they use it for free, which is really great. And so once you come, we'll get you a student card, and then yeah, you get access to the trains, buses, and they're like kind of tranvia that you can use throughout the city, which makes life so much easier. You can see, sometimes people don't really know the dynamic of Salt Lake. It's kind of an interesting city. We're actually two cities, really. So Salt Lake up here in the north, you can see just a little bit north from us is the Great Salt Lake, if you've ever heard of that before. It's like an ocean, but it's not connected to the ocean, right? It's a huge lake that's actually salty. But when you go to see it, it looks like you're at the ocean or you're at the beach. So you can see that there. And if you go south from where we are, we're connected to the city, the second biggest city in Utah. It's called Provo. And you can see down at the very bottom of that map called Utah Lake. And so those two lakes kind of are like on either side of these cities. And in between are these systems for transportation that is free for students. So even if you live farther away from campus, there is access up to 100 miles away. So there's a lot of good options no matter where you live to get to class if you came. Um, One of the things that's really fun is kind of like the student culture that we have and like what the students do in their free time. So students love to like plan vacations together while they're here. You can see these are just some of the student vacations they've done. So like going to Vegas or going to the Grand Canyon or going to Disney. Um, Outside of class is really where we find that students like make the most progress. So if you guys were to come here and study, it's one of the things I would hope that you would organize with some of the other people that are participating in the program. Just because there's so many cool things to do around Utah. And I find that you learn most when you're out there doing things. We also do things in town though. So there's like game nights that they have around town. We have mixer activities, conversation club activities during the week that students can participate in that are free. It's just if you want to be involved, they're voluntary, but students really like those as well. And so it's another aspect that you can do outside of class that can kind of help you. Another thing that's really fun is what we do for the community in terms of volunteering. So what I think I'm going to present about this year at the LALTA conference is one of our programs work with community engagement and how we're mixing English classes with volunteering and helping other people in the community learn English. And so that's one of the things that I really believe in, and trying to get students active in their community and volunteering. Not only do you help people, which is great, but you're also like, once again, you're able to practice your English outside of a classroom, which is really great, and meet people and help them, which is really rewarding. So we have a lot of different ways that you can do that. One of the things that is the best benefit for students is the opportunity to work. So when you're a student on a student visa in the United States, generally you're prohibited from working, which can be difficult, right? You got to take 6 months off, or, in our case, maybe 2 months off, or however long you stay in the program, and you're not making any income, right? But we do have a waiver program with the State Department of the United States that allows our students to work up to 20 hours per week on jobs that are on the campus of the university. Now, because we're like our own city, 35,000 students, there are so many different kinds of jobs that students can do. So you can get a job in the library, you can get a job as a tutor, you can get a job in the cafeteria or in a laboratory. So there's like lots of different things that you could do. And these are paid jobs. Some of them pay up to $15 per hour. Which is a really great way for students to sort of offset some of the costs of their studies. Now, I'm going to stop really quick because is it Kathy Ramirez is just asking a
Yes,
question.
there is a question in the chat,
Yes.
and she's
So
asking if there is any kind of counseling if you want to apply for program. What is like? Is there any guidance from the institution?
yeah, so I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But what I'll say is we have four dedicated agents at our office. They're called DSOs. And their only job is to counsel students in the visa process. So they help you fill out the paperwork for the I-20 form. They go over tips for passing your interview. And they also, once you arrive here, are the ones that are in charge of, if you live with the host family, helping you deal with them. If you get sick, helping you find a hospital. If you get in a car wreck, how do you deal with insurance? So they're there for any kind of problems that students have, housing, food, etc. And they're amazing. You guys probably don't need them, but we have some that one of them is from Chile, so they speak Spanish. So they're very, very helpful.
Awesome.
And one of the things that they do is help students find jobs. So, for example, if you were like, hey, I'm really interested in rock climbing, we could actually get you a job at the university gym, which has a world-class rock climbing gym with instructors, and you could be a volunteer, right? So they could find whatever your passion or interest is and try to help you find a job that fits that, which is really cool. The get back to my presentation here. The chances for studying are plentiful, which is really nice. In some programs, you only have two times
Yeah.
per year that you can start the program. And with us, we have 5 opportunities per year to start, right? So our spring one session is happening right now. We started this year, January the 8th, and it goes until early March. And then we have a week break. So in between every session, we always have 1 week of break, and then we start the next one. So after this first session is over, we're in week 4 right now. And so we have 4 more weeks, and then we have a break. And then the next session starts this time, March the 11th, and we'll be finishing May the 2nd. And then we have a week break, and then we have the next session starts May the 13th, and is finishing at the end of June. So after that is when we have our only real break of the year, and that's our summer break. And so there's 8 weeks basically. It's the month of July. And then we have our final 2 sessions of the year, which is fall one and fall two. So fall one starts this year, August the 19th. And then fall two, I think is starting August the 14th, possibly. I have to look at my calendar. However, what this means is that whenever it's convenient for you, let's say that you want to take a sabbatical, at the start of August, right? Then you could come study in an 8 week session with us. And generally, we found that our students that study in the program in 8 weeks can usually raise their CEFR level by 1 level every 8 weeks. So, like if you start as a B1, you could usually finish as a B2 by the time you leave in those 8 weeks, because our classes in this program are intensive. Um, do I have our I'll get back to the schedule a little bit there in a second. Just going back to the campus, you could see here this. I was talking to you about the campus before being big, and you can see this is kind of a representation here. That tiny little building down in the right corner, that's the ELI building. And for reference, you can see just over in the middle where there's that big dome, that is the basketball and volleyball center. And then in the middle there are like some of the other like sports areas and things like that, with the mountains behind us. So it's always beautiful coming to
I
campus.
do have a question because
Yes.
Course, we always upload this in our YouTube channel for our community to have access. And I know that many people that probably couldn't join today are going to watch it later. And my question is the program, I mean, like, is there a length for the program, or people can just take a, a part of it, like four
Yeah.
weeks and that's it, or needs to take, I don't know, all the levels? Can
Yeah,
you
that's a
talk a
that's a
little
really
bit
good
about that?
question. So we kind of have two profiles of students. We have the students that come and they go all the way through our program, and then they join the University of Utah. One of the special things about our program is we have a waiver program or an exception program for the TOEFL. So, for example, if you want to study at the University of Utah, you have to get an 80 on the TOEFL to enter. However, if you can't make that score, you can come to our school. And if you pass through our final level, level 8, then that requirement of the TOEFL is removed. So students can go to the university and study directly there. So we have students like that, right? That maybe you want to study a master's in the United States, you could come and use our university to do that. But you could also just study 8 weeks. That would be the shortest time that I would recommend, so just come to study for one session. And I think for Asokopi members, that is the thing that I think would be most helpful, right? So you have a break period and you're an English teacher and you're feeling like you just want to like raise your skills a little bit so you could come to the United States, have kind of a vacation. I mean, you're studying, but you're also getting to experience all these things, and then come back to Colombia after 8 weeks, and you could get a promotion in your job or learn some new skills that you can bring to your students, which would be really cool. Um, that's just another little map of where we're located. Um, One of the things that we can help students do is pick them up from the airport when they arrive. We have an orientation process, so when students arrive we kind of help them with the check-in process and getting their university ID cards and giving them a tour of campus and things like that. We also have a class called ELI Success, and it's kind of just like an introduction. You get to meet the other students, and they teach you some things that will help you to be good students. So, how to use our LMS, which we use Canvas. If you guys have familiarity with Canvas, so we'll be teaching how to log into Canvas and how to use our UMail, which is our version of Outlook, etc. Um, and the thing about ELI is that, it's an intensive program. So the classes are from 8 in the morning until 2 p.m., Monday through Thursday. So they're 4 days a week. You get Fridays off, and you have a specific class for each skill. So you have a writing class, you have a grammar class, there's a listening and speaking class, and a reading class. And you have them every day, 4 days a week, for 8 weeks. And the classes are 70 minutes each, and you have usually like a 10-minute break in between. We have like a cafeteria and a common area where people like to hang out between classes. You can see all of our levels here. So level 1 to level 8. Level 1 is like, if you know CEFR, is like an A1 minus. I mean, it's like almost people that are pre-literate. Like we have some students that don't have a lot of formal education, so we offer that, but not often. Usually level 1 and level 2, we don't offer because we don't need them. What happens is when you apply for our class, we send you a link to a test called the Versant test. And Versant will give you a CEFR level. And by that level, we put you in your class. So in our largest cohorts come from level 3 to level 5 when they begin with us. And so like level 3 is it like an A2, level 4 is like A2 plus, and level 5 is like B1. And so probably a lot of the Asokopi members will be coming in like level 6, level 5. So some of those more advanced level classes. And you could stay for 8 weeks and move up from one level to the other. So if you started at level 6, you could move to level 7 in that 8-week period. Um, the higher level courses, you can see the TOEFL waiver courses here, level 7 and 8. What's cool about those is like once you've reached those levels, they have some more variety in the classes you can take. So you can go to the main campus of the university and take an elective. So like you could choose a class from the different kinds of electives, like art history, if you wanted to, right? There's also this class called college prep, which is just like writing, like academic writing and note taking skills and those kind of things. But they have basically some more content based classes that are more like university level classes. Um, so those are like the two most advanced levels, which might be where your members are located when they test into the program. There's also the possibility of skipping levels. If you, for example, have a bad day when you do your testing and we put you in level 5 and you're like, teacher, I know I'm not a level 5. Like I really could do better than that. You have the opportunity to skip tests. Once you arrive, your teachers will do an evaluation and they'll say, oh my God, no, Juan, he just really shouldn't be in this level 5. Like he's too high. So we do have a process for skipping ahead if you do really believe that that's the case. So there's a process for that. And a lot of our Japanese students do the skip test because they're like very, very motivated to get ahead quickly. So it's something that people do take advantage of. Um, the thing that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about is what I do though at the university. So when I first started here, I was teaching in our IEP program. So I was teaching the listening and speaking class level 5. I've been a teacher for God now almost 20 years. And this is the first semester that I've not taught a class. So I'm just an administrator now. It's kind of sad, but I really believe in this community and general English program that I'm administering. And so what it is in the evening time after the intensive English program is over, from 6 to 8 p.m. every Monday through Thursday, we have another set of classes that are not for credit. So they're not as difficult and they don't give you university credit like the daytime classes do. They're also much cheaper. So they only cost $300 for every 8 weeks. But they don't give you a student visa if you wanted to take them. If you wanted to come to the United States, you'd have to get a student visa or you'd have to have a tourist visa already. But basically, it's similar to our daytime program. We have these 5 levels. Our level 5 class is about B1 level as well, and our level 1 class is about A1 level. And then we have these 2 advanced levels that are sponsored by a local business called Zions Bank. And that's an advanced English class, and then also a TOEFL prep class that happens in the summer. So it's teaching students how to take the TOEFL exam. And we also have these community partnerships where we send our teachers to different schools outside of the university in the community. So one of them is called University Neighborhood Partners. It's primarily Latinos on the west side of our city. And it's at this place called the Heartland Center. And these are free classes for mostly new immigrants to the United States, refugees and immigrants, and we send one of our teachers over there. The class is a B1 level class, so it's quite a high level class, and it happens 2 days a week. So we send people over there. If you guys know anything about the MLS, Major League Soccer in the United States, one of the teams, quite a good one actually, is the Real Salt Lake. So that's our professional football team here in the city. And actually, we teach players from their team English. So we send a teacher over there 2 days a week and teach the players on the squad English so that they can do better in their interviews and team communication and things like that. And it's kind of like English for specific purposes. So we've designed some curriculum that's like specific to sports and interviews that kind of helps the players. We also teach the employees of the University of Utah. So the people that clean and maintain the universities is called facilities management. And we have 4 different courses that teach students there. So 75 students from the employees of the university that we teach. There's also private businesses in the Salt Lake City area that we teach. One of them is a recycling company. So they make plastics. And we send a teacher over there to teach inside of their office during their break times. So the reason I told you all about that, right, is because we have this teaching assistant program that I think you guys would be really, really good at. And I'm starting it now. You know, this partnership with Asokopi is going to be kind of the pilot of this program. We've done this kind of individually in the past with a few teachers, but it hasn't been formal. And what this program is an opportunity for all of you guys to get some real world experience teaching English in the United States to real students. So this is just a picture of our Zion's Bank class in the field trip they do every year to the Natural History Museum. The man in the bottom left-hand corner is named Sam Dunn, and he's been teaching at the University of Utah 35 years. He's an amazing teacher and a great mentor, and he's one of the teachers that would be our mentor teachers in this program. So you would be partnering with him in his class, most of the time observing, but also we would have some opportunities for you to teach lessons and tutor students individually during this program. So basically, what we're doing is offering members of Asokopi and other teaching organizations this experience to teach in the United States in the general English and community programs. So you have a couple of options on how you could spend your hours doing this as a volunteer, and a couple of different skill levels. So you can see these are your options, right? In our general English classes, we have these 6 different levels from A1 to like B2. And those happen 4 days a week. So they are, you know, from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday at our school location, just where you also take your classes in the daytime. And then we also have our community classes. And if you are judged to be really good, I mean, we can't let just any teacher participate, but if we thought you were really, really good, we might be able to have you work as a assistant teacher in the intensive program during the day with maybe some of our lower level students. Um, but that would really be based on like your performance. So like we might take some of the best teachers and offer them that benefit. Um, Basically, the idea is that we would give you the opportunity for 1 class per week. And so you would get basically like 8 hours total per session. And so the plan right now would be that on Thursday nights, we would have the participating teachers come to class and become an assistant teacher for the night. And so it would be Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. This is completely voluntary. So it's not like the jobs on campus that you can get paid for, unfortunately, right? This would be just so that you can get experience. Now, it's great for your resume, right? Like you could put this on your curriculum and your life experience, but it would just be a volunteer basis in terms of the pay. But each session, you would have a new opportunity to work with a new group of students. We could also have you rotate to look at different skill levels. Like if you wanted to have experience teaching advanced students and intermediate students or whatever, you know, we could accommodate you. The benefits of this really is you're getting to see some teachers with an amazing amount of experience, right? So, you know, what do experienced teachers in the US do in terms of their class practices, right? There's a lot that people can probably learn in terms of like new applications and games and techniques and things like that. Also, if you're not familiar with Canvas as an LMS platform, you'll get some experience with that, which is really good. So I can teach you and the teacher can teach you how to create content on Canvas, how to grade activities, how to communicate with students and those kind of things. You're going to get to meet a lot of different kinds of students, which is really cool. So it's not just going to be Latinos. That's why I love our program. Like if you come to study here, it's not like you're going to be in California or Miami. And after class is over, you're just speaking Spanish the whole time, right? Salt Lake City is not my majority Latino city. So, you know, a lot of the communication that goes on outside of class is in English, right? So you're going to get to meet all of these students and really get a chance to practice. Um, you're going to get a chance to practice lesson planning and getting feedback from quality instructors. So my idea is, you know, this is a new thing. So we're kind of working on it as we go along. But my idea was to have the student teachers or teaching assistants observe for the first 4 weeks. And then for the second 4 weeks, in the second part of class, have them maybe take 20 minutes and present an activity or run some kind of communication workshop, or but have them actually do some work and have the teacher observe them and give them feedback so that you're really getting a chance to like get better. Also, you can get some valuable experience on your CV. So when you come back to Columbia and you're looking for that next job, this can really be an advantage from you over another candidate because they've seen like, wow, you taught English classes at the University of Utah in their English program. That's like awesome, right? So I think all of those things make it really cool and a great opportunity. So I'm hoping to meet some of you guys when you come. The other thing that you can participate in that I think is really fun is our conversation club. So this, like I was talking about, this is on Thursdays that you would be student teachers, but on Tuesdays, during 2 sessions, we have this conversation club, and it's mostly because of Kansai University. So one of the major universities in Japan, Kansai, they send a lot of students to us every year. We're about to get 30 students from them in a couple of weeks, and they're going to start their conversation club activity, which is part of this service learning project that they do. So they have to spend 40 hours outside of the classroom doing other things. Some of it is our conversation club. Some of it is in the summertime. We have a youth camp. So like we have kids that come to the university in the summertime, and you can work as a mentor for them and work with kids during the summer camp. And there's also like some volunteering things that people can do. But in the conversation club, what it is 1 session per week. And it happens on Tuesdays from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. ASOCOPI members are welcome to come. It's all the Japanese students that come, and we have these conversation events with our local community students. So it's really cool. So you have like basically all of our Salt Lake, mostly Latino students mixing with all of these Japanese students that are new to the US and doing these conversation activities. Really, really fun. It's just another way to kind of learn different teaching techniques and things. Um, so yeah, that's basically it in terms of like what I wanted to tell you guys. I will make this presentation available to everyone. But you can see this is like a link to our website and our social media and um, all of that. But you can always just contact me directly if you have any specific questions. It's probably faster that way. So I'll have them share my personal email with you guys as well. So yeah, thanks for your time. And I think there's a question.
Yeah,
Oh,
Katie
Catherine,
saying
yeah,
that
you're
is
just saying it's
that exam
amazing.
is
Well, thank you.
amazing. I have two questions, two more questions, because remember this goes to YouTube. We're going to send it to all our community. We are going to share the link in our Instagram and in all our social media. And is there any age restriction that you have? You say,
Uh,
okay, participants need to be this age, need to have this scholar. I mean, like, I don't know,
yes.
bachelor's degree or high school diploma, or
Yeah.
what are some of those technical conditions that are logistics that our
Yeah.
participants
Good
should
question.
consider?
One of the things that I probably should have mentioned, the biggest part of the news is that Asokopi has negotiated a discount, so all of the members get 15% off of our class cost. And I don't know why I didn't even talk about this, but the cost of the class for 8 weeks is $2,400. And with the discount, it's 2,400. And so that's 8 weeks of study plus materials. So all of your, in class time and the books that you need and all of that stuff. And the restriction, I'm sorry, the discount is for all members and family. So, for example, if you have a son or a daughter that's interested and maybe you want to send them to the United States for a summer program, all they need is a high school diploma. So that's the only age requirement, is that you have to have graduated high school. And that's it. So the other requirements really would be the to get the student visa. And those are things like you can't have a criminal record. So, if you robbed a bank, you can't come study with us. I'm sorry. Um, Also, there are some financial requirements. I think our agent was telling us, I think you need to show 50 million pesos in a bank account during your paperwork for the I-20. That does not mean that you have to have that 50 million in that account forever, but it just means at one time you have to show that you did have it, right? So you have to be able to show 50 million pesos in an account. That's like not our requirement, that's the State
Yeah,
Department of the United States. But all of our agents can help you through this process. They are saying that if you apply today, that the interview is taking about 3 months from the day that you apply to get the interview for the student visa. So it's not the same as a tourist visa. Right now, if you try to get a tourist visa in the United States for Colombia, forget about it, right? It's like it's taking forever. But the
yeah.
student visas are processing more quickly, and we have an expert, a counselor that will help you through the process. So that's a really a good benefit for people that don't know how to do it. So that's our main requirements.
Anybody with a high school diploma, anybody who wants to go and take the 8-week course, and we have a very special discount for us copy members and their relatives, their family members. So
Yes,
I'm gonna
correct.
share my screen. All right.
Yeah,
Here it is. We have it on our social media. All right. We have it on our social media. It's on our Instagram page. You can find it there, all the information in English and Spanish. You can also share this with other teachers that you know.
yeah,
And remember that we are going to have this video, this informative talk, in our YouTube channel very soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow. We will let you know, and we will also let you know in Instagram. This is very important. This is a way to move forward, for us and for our families. And as you said,
yeah,
maybe just teachers have this couple of months available, maybe just one. Okay, just let's go for it. So this is super important, and we are very happy that you could come, because it's different when you read information than when you have actually a person that can come and share everything, all this information. Your campus is beautiful. I feel that we want to go there.
yeah. Well, you know what? We've already had a couple of people start the process. So I think we've had 3 ASACOPI members that are in the process that have already submitted their documents and we're processing them. And so I'm really excited about that. And then I'm going to be coming back to Colombia. I'll be coming every year now, but I'll be coming to the conference in Barranquilla. So I'd love to meet any of you that are going to be there. But also, if anybody wants to meet with me before that, I'm going to be in Bogota, like I think the 18th of September until the 3rd of October. And then I'm going to be flying to Barranquilla. So what I'm going to be doing while I'm there is just meeting with different institutions. So like if you work at a school, high school or university, and you would like me to come present to your students, that's what I'm there for. I'm going to be presenting at Andes because like I present there every year. They always invite me back to talk to the undergraduate students, but I'm going to also be talking to some high schools. So like I always go present at some places in Chia and Kota, and so some different things like that.
And I
Um,
think that our teachers are going to be very interested in inviting you over to their schools and some of their universities. And
please, please,
some of the members work in universities as well. We
yeah,
don't not only have school teachers, but we also have university teachers and researchers. So
yeah,
of course, I think you're going to be very busy in September. Hope to meet you and hope to
awesome,
attend in person to one of the of your informative talks. Thank you very much, Brian,
yeah,
for being with us. It was amazing. It's very important. I love starting our year like this. So just a couple of reminders before we leave. Remember that our webinars this year are on Wednesday, all right? Wednesday, 5 p.m. GTM time, and that you can find all these webinars and academic talks in our YouTube channel, that is Asocopi Colombia 1465, all of them for free. You can also attend for free, invite other people. Our next webinar is going to take place on February 28th. we have a very close friend of us, and it's Hugo Poveda, and he's going to talk to us about Google for Education, that is now called Google Workspace. It's not called Google Suite G Suite anymore. And with many interesting tools, we keep on sharing all this information with you guys. Call for papers open, closing on May 31st. And see you guys in Barranquilla. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Brian, for being here
Thank
with
you,
us.
Brian, for everything. It was amazing.
Awesome. It was great to meet all of you. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.